Welcome to Business Legal Lifecycle TV, the live TV show all about the legal aspects of your business. We've designed this TV show to educate you in simple to understand plain English ways for complex legal terms, to help you understand why you undertake certain legal aspects of your business, and to help you develop a plan for the future success of your business. Did you know that any business owner is on average 7 months away from losing everything? And that is the average time that it takes for a successful business to fold when an aspect of their business is not set up correctly. Have you ever wanted to get legal advice but didn't understand what was going on? And do you feel like there's a divide between lawyers and their clients? If that's so, then this TV show is for you. We've designed the show to empower you and your business with the knowledge and tools to help ensure that those problems that so many businesses encounter don't happen to you. Business Legal Lifecycle TV delivers a twice-weekly show focusing on the legal aspects of your business. At lunchtime on Mondays, we present Fast Fix Monday, a quick 5 to 10 minute show to give you some actionable steps to consider for this week in your business. And at lunchtime on Wednesdays, we present our in-depth show. It's generally between 30 minutes to an hour to go through the complicated legal aspects of your business in a simple to understand and plain English way. That can be through educational pieces or interviews with experts in the fields. We welcome you to Business Legal Lifecycle TV, and here's our show.
Welcome everyone to this Wednesday edition of Business Legal Lifecycle TV, and if you're listening to it on the podcast, welcome when you're listening to this on our podcast. My name's Jeremy Stretton. I'm a founder at the Business Legal Lifecycle, and today we're going to do an interview with a friend, a colleague by the name of Craig Vaughan. Craig is a mortgage broker. He's an award-winning mortgage broker, and he's someone who's been in business for many years. He's had a very interesting journey. As a friend, I've helped advise him and worked with him over many of those years. And so what you're going to learn today in today's show are things about basically changing your focus and your goal. So we've talked a bit about this month about setting goals and how those goals might change into the future. So starting up with an end in mind is a very big theme here at Business Legal Lifecycle, and is actually the title of my new book, which I'm taking to publishers shortly. So Craig, you'll see from his journey that he does change what he wanted to do over many years. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what most of us do. We often think we've got one path to take, and that might change into the future. So we're going to explore his journey through business and through his starting his end in mind and where he's actually going to end up. We talk a bit about his mortgage broking business and how he used that to develop another business, which is mortgage broking software that can be used by software engineers. And we also talk about the process that he went through in actually really taking the reins of that business, because I think that's a really interesting topic and something that you'll see in business a lot, and something that I think works quite well. And finally, we have a bit of a chat around bringing in his investors. So Craig has gone through many of the different phases of the business legal lifecycle, and one of those is bringing in investors. So we have a bit of a chat about that. So I look forward to your comments about today's show. I'd love to hear what learnings you got out of it. And if you've got any questions, feel free to, if you're listening to this through Facebook, to make comments on the Facebook page. Feel free, if you're listening to the podcast, to email me at lifecycle@jeremystretton.com. Always happy to answer questions. And if you are listening to the podcast, please like our Facebook page. If you type into Facebook Business Legal Lifecycle in the search, or if you go to BIZ Legal Lifecycle, then you'll find us and you'll get lots of great content that we put up there every day. Please keep on listening to us, and if you've got any questions, please let me know. But for now, I hope you enjoy this interview with Craig Vaughan. Hi everyone, and welcome to Business Legal Lifecycle TV, and if you're listening to this on the podcast, today I'm interviewing Craig Vaughan. Craig Vaughan and I have been friends for a very long time, and we've seen our businesses grow from strength to strength over many years. Craig is the owner of Map Home Loans, and he's recently developed a software that he uses in his business, and he's developed it into a product for other mortgage brokers to use. So Craig is the perfect person to talk to about the different aspects of business and how that changes as you're going through the business. So Craig, I'll bring you in and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jeremy. Great to be here. Hello, everyone.
All right. So why don't you tell us a bit about your history? So where did you start? Because I think it's a good place to go back right to the beginning.
I started in law school, actually, which is where I met you, Jeremy. And did a law degree, came out of law school, and absolutely hated the practice of law. I loved to study. It was when you're studying law, you're reading interesting cases, you are looking at groundbreaking stuff. When you go and practice law, you are doing, I found anyway, very mundane things like bankrupting people, and it was just very tedious, very boring, and certainly wasn't something for me. So I got out of that game very, very quickly.
Yeah, well, I think law is an interesting game. It takes a certain type of personality, as we all know, to actually get into it. So, So you got into mortgage broking after that. So why did you move into mortgage broking, and what was the reasoning behind that, and how did you do that?
I was working when I was going through law school. I worked at a casino, and I met someone there who was a mortgage broker. Bought my first home, and I thought, hey, that's what do you do? What do you get paid? That sort of stuff. And when I quit being a lawyer, I had 4 offers. I had an offer to work at the Department of Natural Resources and Water, which was back in 2007. I was a trainee solicitor. I had 2 mortgage broking offers, and I had some other job offers as well. And I ended up with guardian angel, whatever you want to call it. I ended up making the right decision. I went into mortgage broking, and it's just suited me. It's just been something that it really suited my personality. I seem to connect well with clients and so on. So look, I was a bit naive. I didn't really know what I was doing. I took the best guess at the time, and it's sort of worked out for me in the end.
Excellent. All right. So obviously you started working for someone else, and then as a lot of us have done, you've decided to go out on your own. So what made you want to start your own business, and what was the thought process that went into that?
Look, it was interesting actually. I had 3 offers as a mortgage broker in 2007 when I was looking around, and one, of course, was to go it alone at the beginning. The other was to join another bigger firm or go under a smaller person. And the issue was at the time was the big firm, the big mortgage broking firm, you sort of got paid half the commission. So you would sort of get 50% of the income, whereas if you're on your own, you get 100% of the income. The issue, of course, was you only have so many friends and family. So I made the decision pretty quickly after trying on my own that, hey, it's better to have 50% of something than 100% of nothing. So for the first sort of 2 years, I was under a company called ABC Mortgages, very good firm, and they had plenty of clients, plenty of leads, as we call them, and that's where I sort of learned the trade. If it wasn't for that, and going under that sort of mentor sort of business arrangement, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now, because I would have crashed and burned like 9 out of 10 people do. I mean, the industry average for mortgage brokers, I think, is at the end of the first year, there's 2 left out of 10. Wow. At the end of the second year, there's 1 left out of 10. And it all comes to equally the greatest broker in the world, the greatest person in the world. But if no one knows who you are, and you can't get your name out there amongst 15,000 other mortgage brokers, you're just not going to do very well. So really critical decision then was taking that, earn a bit of less cash, but get the experience, and then I ended up moving out on my own 2-3 years later.
Yeah, excellent. And I think that's a good lesson. And I know that the mortgage industry, they do, I think they now require all brokers to actually undertake some sort of business training and mentoring process, don't they, to try and alleviate those problems?
They do, and it's good. I mean, everyone has to have a mentor. There's issues there as well, because there's mentoring companies that sort of have 1,000 brokers, so how can they really adequately mentor? But it is moving in the right direction. Everyone knows it's not good for anyone to have an attrition rate of 80 to 90%. So they're bringing in things to help the new brokers out, provide more training, to stop that from happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's an important thing. I know as a lawyer, I worked for 8 years as a lawyer, and no one taught me how to run a business. So I think, I had to teach myself that. Yeah. 100%.
And 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so let's talk about Map Home Loans. So that's obviously one of your businesses at the moment, and one that you work a lot in, I know. So tell us about Map Home Loans, what you do, and yeah.
Look, the biggest thing I found, there's 15,000 mortgage brokers in Australia, and you can't outspend the banks, you can't outspend big companies. So my strategy was, obviously, and I'm preaching to converted is to have a niche, a USP, point of difference, whatever you want to call it. And our point of difference with Map Home Loans and our various business names is niche on policy. So Map Home Loans, for example, was a brokerage that focused on expats, clients living overseas, people in Australia on visas such as spouse visas or migrant visas. Our other company is Building Loan Australia, which focuses on home loans for building. It's quite complex when you're building a first home, bringing in extra invoices for different things. And our final, we've got another 2 websites, but the main one is Professional Home Loans, which is a niche focusing on high income earning professionals, doctors, lawyers, waiving lenders, mortgage insurance, special rates, things like that. So I sort of started out with Map Home Loans, which focuses on migrants and expats and people with a residency issue. That was my niche. And then I moved on and created another couple of niches as well.
And did you find that that was necessary because you weren't getting enough business in the niche, or was it just that there was a natural progression into those other areas that
It's a good one. I mean, my mentors always sort of said often people move on to a new niche before they're fully sort of tapped out the current niche. And I probably did as well. I probably moved on a bit too early. I probably could have done a lot more with Map and a lot more on that. But I just saw a couple of opportunities in these other areas. And it's been a big problem and a big struggle for me, even with Broker Engine. Focusing on one thing. Often you have all these great ideas, 100 ideas, and you end up sort of doing 20% or 5% of each of them. It's better just to focus on one thing, ship that one thing, provide value, and then move on to the next thing. So I definitely moved on a bit too early, but at the same time, they've been quite good little niches.
Yeah, and I think that's fair for a lot of people. I mean, I know I did the same thing. You see the shiny new object and you want to go there, and sometimes that can be to your detriment. Yeah.
I struggle, and my business partner in Broker Engine's always pulling me back. I'm always, here's a new idea, and I'm adding to the list. And it's like, no, he's always pulling back, which is a good thing because if we did what I was doing, we would never ship anything. We'd always move on to the next thing. Yeah, so back to you, Ben.
Yeah, cool. So with the niches that you find, have you got some examples of where that worked well for your clients?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's plenty of examples. I can think of one client, with expats, I think, was a clear niche for me. They were, I lived overseas and I tried to get a home loan whilst overseas and back in 2004, and very difficult. So when I started mortgage broking, I was shocked to find out that I could have actually got a home loan back in 2004. I just had bad advice.
Right.
And so, and bad service, So that's sort of when I started pushing the expat, because I felt that I knew what it was like to be a client in that market, and I knew we could actually help those clients. And so expats was a big one for me. Expat clients, they value service. They're generally high income earning. They're not going to get the service from the bank like after hours replies and things like that, and also around the knowledge. So I can think of a variety of clients, expat clients who we've helped that. There's one client I got an email from the other day. We helped him out 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep.
After he'd been behind, he was self-employed, living in the UK. Absolute nightmare loan to get approved. It was difficult. There's a lot of paperwork when you're self-employed and living overseas. But he just sold his property in Sydney 3 years later for like $300,000 profit. And 3 or 4 years ago, he had tried 3 or 4 banks and brokers, and they always sort of said, "No, we've got the loan around" or whatever. So, you do sort of get it. We are providing good service, and that's just one example.
Yeah, I think that's one of the advantages of focusing on a niche like that, is that you manage to you can help people where other people can't. I know that just from experience that when we have clients who have expat loans and where they're difficult, it's because you don't know what you don't know, and there's so much knowledge out there and so much information. It's very tough for us to actually know everything that there is to know. So that's why you need to have people who actually focus on those niches.
You can be an expert. You can know everything. It's very difficult. I remember starting to be a migration agent and financial planner. I have all those qualifications, but very, very difficult to be an expert across all those areas. So focusing on one particular thing or a few different things works really well for me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we've skirted around the edges of Broker Engine, the software that you've developed, and this is, I think, for the people who are watching and listening to this, Craig's progression through various parts of his business are very interesting, and it shows you how someone can actually do things in a very interesting way and a very comprehensive way for their business, and actually use what they develop in their business for a product. So I wanted to do a bit of a deeper dive into Broker Engine. So let's talk about that. So there's a current project that you're talking about. So can you tell us about Broker Engine? What is it, and why is it so unique compared to what else is out there in the market?
Yeah, look, very briefly, Broker Engine is a software package that truly automates the process of mortgage brokers leveraging teamwork. Ultimately, so the broker can be freed from sort of mundane day-to-day activities and focus on more high-value activities such as client meetings, providing advice, etc., etc. So most brokers out there, 99% of them would be, sort of find themselves every day calling lenders, stuck doing paperwork, data entry. That's not their highest value activity. Their highest value activity as a broker is the client-facing, talking to clients, providing advice, and so on. And so Broker Engine really allows the broker to do that by effectively delegating to team members in a way that ensures everything's done correctly.
Yeah.
That's what Broker Engine is. Why is it unique? But the main reason it's unique, I guess, is because I never built it to be having this conversation today or to be having to take it to market. I built it for my own broker. I was finding in my 8 hours a day, I was spending 6 hours on data entry and calling lenders and spending like an hour a day on the high value stuff. So I wanted to get rid of that $5 and $10 an hour work and focus on, I guess, $1,000 an hour work. And so I built it for my own brokerage, and it sort of grew with me as I grew as a broker, from a one-man band, having a PA, you're then having multiple staff, some overseas, some in Australia, to then having multiple brokers. And it sort of grew with me through the whole process, becoming referral only. Referral only is every business's dream. To only not have to chase business, to only be referral only. And so I went from being referral only to being referral only to now being existing client only. And so it's sort of grown with me through that through those steps. And so basically now I've got a software package that we take to brokers that has been built by a broker that's been in the trenches, that's been through all the stages, that's made all the mistakes. Not to say that it's perfect, there aren't still mistakes to be made, we're constantly tweaking. But I've been in the trenches, I've made the mistakes, and I talk to brokers about the issues I had and the issues that it solves and how it does it. That's what makes the software truly unique. They don't have to go and get something off the shelf and reinvent it. Broker Engine's already done, already tried, already tested.
Yeah, and I think that's the great thing that of my knowledge of Broker Engine and similar type softwares where it's developed by someone in the industry. That can be really good. There's a lot of talk, and I read a lot of stuff about people who develop software are outside the industry and say, "Oh, this is going to revolutionize the industry." But if they're not in the industry and they don't know how it works, how do they know what actually works in the business? So that's one of the beautiful things about what you've developed.
And that's what you'll find. Most aggregator software, aggregators, all brokers, for those that don't know, are under an aggregator, which is a big company basically. Anyway, they provide the broker with the software, but often it's what they think the broker needs, or what they need as an aggregator. It's not so much built from a broker's perspective about how a broker actually does work and does delegate their work in the day. So that's what makes this truly unique, is it is built from someone that's been in the trenches.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Well, I know this, some of the story, but the process that you went to develop the software, I think one of the things that we've talked about before is the business is a lonely place, and often what I've found, and especially when I've written the book and advised clients, is people don't realise that other people have often had problems before in business, and you get so into the problems that you're having at the time that you don't realize, well, other people have. And so I think that the process that you went through to develop the software is a very interesting one. And do you want to go back through, obviously not naming any names because there's a few issues, but can you go through that process of how you developed the software? Because I think it's a good story to talk to people.
Look, about 2 years ago, we had the software, it was just sort of built for my own brokerage. And 2 years ago, I had a meeting and they sort of said, hey, you should actually take this to market. And so very naively, I went, oh yeah, sweet, that'll be 3 months work, and we had to sort of take it from what it was and rebuild it, because it wasn't built in a way that we could actually offer it to other brokers. It was sort of really built back home loans style. So I was very naive. I thought, 3-4 months and whatever cash, and it'll be done. And of course here I am 2 years later, and very naive actually. But and in fairness, I think someone at Amazon recently said, the CEO of Amazon said, naivety is a good thing. If you actually knew how hard it was going to be at the start, you would never have started it. And that's certainly the case for me. Every day, if I wake up, having a bad day, I think, gee, why did I ever do this? But naivety is a good thing. It can be a good thing. The process I went through, I made every mistake out there. And of course I go and read Tools with Time, things by Tim Ferriss or these other books, and I sort of after the fact, I sort of realised that, yeah, like you said, you're not alone. You know? I started out with a software company. The biggest lesson I learned was choose good people. But you have to kiss a lot of frogs to find good people. So I started out with a setup developer. They didn't do any vetting. They were who I knew. Great, you can build this for me. Here's what I want. And of course, 2 months later, they hadn't delivered what they said they would do. In fact, they hadn't delivered 5% of what they said they would do. And people were going, "Oh, where's the software? What are we up to?" Because I sort of said it'd be 3 to 4 months. And Wayne Bennett, I was at a Wayne Bennett seminar one day, and he sort of did just something clicked with me. He said, and so when these people are asking me, where's your software? There's up, I'm blaming the developers and going, "Oh yeah, they're still taking too long, whatever." And Wayne Bennett sort of said, he was talking about his life at Brisbane Broncos, and he sort of said, I tell all the guys, there are no excuses. Ultimately the buck stops with you, and there are no excuses. So, and I realised, that applies to me. I chose those developers. If they're not actually delivering, then I need to make a change. Sure enough, that evening when I got back from that seminar, I made a change, and I got rid of those developers. I went back to the drawing board, learned from that lesson, and then employed a new set of developers overseas that have happened, and actually a team of developers to get it going. It was a really great process. What it forced me to do was document. It really was a really great process. I had to document exactly what I wanted the software to do. About 300-page document it turned out to be. But it actually turned out to be a really good process. So often these mistakes or these failures or that lost time, I've always found in business that often it has a silver lining somewhere. And what that happened from that, I might have wasted 6 to 8 weeks, sure, but the silver lining was, I wouldn't actually be sitting here today if I hadn't have made that error. And it actually forced me to find better developers and provide better documentation to do with better software product. That's how I started, and that was sort of the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone who is watching this, who doesn't, or listening to this, who doesn't know, Wayne Bennett is, as Craig said, the coach of the Brisbane Broncos. It's a rugby league team in Brisbane. He's been in other teams as well. Probably the most successful coach in rugby league history, or at least in my lifetime, anyway. And so he's a great man. And I love that quote. That you're responsible. It's at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. To paraphrase what he said. So I think that's a really good lesson for people to learn. Now the actual process, though. So you actually took. Well, the process after that was you actually took control of the whole thing and worked out what needed to be done and basically project managed the whole thing, didn't you? Rather than trying to rely upon someone else, which is something that I've fallen into before. I don't know a lot of other people have, but the actual project management side of it was really what you did, wasn't it? And you flew overseas and you did lots of other things to really take control of it.
I did, which could be a mistake as well. Potentially I might have been better off. Which we're doing now is getting a project manager right now. We're hiring right now to be that lead, because my best value, as we talked about before, right now is not actually project management software there. My best value right now, with my broker engine hat on, is actually getting out there and talking to brokers and actually selling the product. So that's my best value. So I did take on that project manager role, the QA, the sort of the testing role. And I basically took control, and it took a lot longer to get the project finished, but we got a better result.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way of looking at it. What's your best value activity at that point in time? Well, that at that point in time was for you to manage it to make sure at least what was built as a basis was done correctly. And now the best value activity for you is going out there and selling it. And I think that's a really good lesson for people that changes, doesn't it? That might change week on week, it might change month on month, it might be year on year, but you need to think about what at the particular point in time, what your best high value activity is. It's going to move your business forward.
And hopefully shortly that's going to be sitting on a beach, sitting in the we will see.
We'll see. Yeah. Well, hopefully I can join you. Go to Vanuatu or something. So I know that recently you brought in some investors. So that's phase 6 of the business legal lifecycle, is bringing in investors. Some people don't want to do that, which is fine. There's different reasoning for doing it and not doing it. So do you want to talk about why you brought in an investor into the business? Let's talk about why you brought him in first.
Look, I think a couple of reasons. The investor I brought in was my mentor from Wolf Broker. So my mentor, Wolf Sloan, he got me from sort of mentor might be wrong with it, but he got me from being an average broker in sort of 2012, having all the pieces, and often I find that brokers do have a lot of the pieces, and he sort of helped me put them all together, and that turned me into being one of Australia's I sort of won a few awards and 3 years in a row, best broker, got nominated best broker of the year and things like that. And it was all I did really was do what I was always doing, follow what Bruce Wayne said, and I got there in the end. So I was coming to a point with broker ending where, it can be, as I said before, it can be very lonely in business, very lonely in time. I was making all the decisions, and I'm not equipped to make it. Where did I get the experience to make the decision? I'm sort of making the best guess at the time, or the best educated guess at the time, but I lack certain skills. I lack certain skills, and I know that. So I did it was funny actually, I did what's that online test you did, Jeremy, where you work out your...
the Wealth Dynamics test, developed by Roger Hamilton, Yeah,
I did the Wealth Dynamics test, and it was very accurate. I was sort of one of these... how would you describe it, Jeremy?
What was that, sorry?
How would you describe Wealth Dynamics?
Oh, it's a simple to use tool that you answer a bunch of questions and it places you in a bunch of different categories of where you are and how what your best use activity actually is in the business. So what was yours? I'm a creator.
Yeah, I'm not a creator. So I lack that creator. I'm a mechanic slash... I'm basically mechanic slash...
Mechanic slash lord is probably... Usually mechanics are also lords. Yeah.
I'm a lord slash mechanic, and which was 100% accurate. I sort of read about that's exactly what I am. And so and what it said in there was, you need to find this person, right? Yes. This person have this. You need your yang to your yin, or whatever you want to call it. And so, and I realised that. So I went out there and I talked to Bruce Wayne, who was my mentor, and he was interested in getting involved. And so, and he sort of complements my skill set. So I'm good, I guess, at detail, getting the job done. I've got the knowledge of the mortgage broking industry. He's very good at sales, marketing, sort of keeping things pushing forward, and so on. So part of the reason bringing on was for the skill set. Partly was so that I've got someone else in the business to come and make decisions. Because at the end of the day, I'm not equipped to make all the decisions. It was also good bringing in some extra cash. So that was very good as well. But as I was saying before, with mortgage broking, the lesson I learned was 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And with Bruce Wayne coming on board, certainly we are now, well, we wouldn't be where we are now for the decisions. So I might have less equity now, but we should ultimately make more funds overall. So my equity is worth more with Bruce Wayne than
Yep. I think that's important that people, often, and I know this from the people I deal with, they're scared about bringing in an investor, but you went through the right process. You worked out, okay, so what do I need from an investor? Who is that person? You made sure that you had a long history with them, made sure that you actually knew who that person was and what they were going to be like in business. And then you made sure, well, what skill set do they bring to the table that actually helps my business and will advance the business forward? Because as a business owner, every decision we make needs to be, how do I actually advance that business? And how do I advance my business? Because otherwise, what's the point of being in business?
Well, that's right. If it was just about money, it wasn't just about money. If I had an investor come along and say, hey, I'll give you X dollars for X percentage, I wouldn't have taken it. At that point in time, I didn't need cash. What I needed was help. And so we'll explain, of course, my investor came.
Brilliant. All right. Well, so that's about the businesses. Let's let's have a chat about some of the adventures you get onto. You talked about getting onto a beach and sitting drinking margaritas, but as with all good business owners, you do find time to get away. And I know that you go on a bit of motorbike adventure riding. So tell us a bit about that and how you got into that and some of the adventures that you've had there.
The big problem I have is that my brain doesn't switch off. I struggle to be in the present. Sounds really corny or whatever you want to call it, but I struggle to switch off. When I go home, often I'm still thinking about work and or things that turn to my mind or whatever. So I do a lot of adventure riding, not adventure motorbike riding, not because I'm necessarily some sort of motorbike fanatic, but what I find about adventure motorbike riding is that I have to focus on what I'm doing. You have to focus on what you're doing, you die. So when you're on a motorbike, you have no choice but to be looking ahead, watching out for the rocks, riding on the sand, whatever it is. And so I try and do sort of a trip a year. This year I went to did a ride with Charlie Borman which is you'll know him from Long Way Round, Long Way Down, and we did a ride from Zimbabwe to Cape Town via Lesotho and Botswana. Incredible trip, incredible trip. So for me, that was just time to get away, switch the brain off, or try and switch the brain off, and it was amazing actually. I was very worried about going away. I was worried about going away at this there's never a good time to go away in business, I found. But I came back and nothing died, nothing blew up. And I came back sort of feeling, whilst a bit depressed, I guess, on the first day to be back at work, but yeah, refreshed and sort of ready to put in another year of hard work. So, no, venture bike riding is what I did to get away. In 2012, I did the road bar. So I did Mongolia through Russia to the road bar. Again, it's done by you and Craig Vaughan and a lot of around. Just trying to get away every year. Last year I did Dakota. The year before that I did a cycle in New Zealand. Just trying to get away every year. And away from a computer is key. It's got to be somewhere where you cannot open a laptop. Sitting on a beach would be no good for me because I just have a laptop with me and I'll be working. But away from a computer, away from internet connection. I know that's what I need, so I try and put that time in.
Yeah, I think that's important. A lot of people, you get so busy doing the work that you forget that you actually need to go and relax and actually have the reward for all the hard work that you've done, because you work so hard in the days that you're in work, and if you don't take out some time out to actually go and enjoy yourself, what's the point of it all? You know, I think that's a great lesson for people. So mate, look, really appreciate your time today. Is there anything else that I've missed that you think is important that you'd like to get out today in this interview?
No, I think you've covered everything, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on the show, and I'll chat to you later. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks very much, Craig. Thanks, everyone, for watching that interview with Craig Vaughan. I hope you got a lot out of it. I certainly did. I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't actually know as a mate and someone I've known for a lot of years. So I hope you got a lot out of that. Please, if you haven't before, and if you're watching us for the first time, please like our Facebook page. We have put this on Apple Podcasts. And so wherever you get your podcast from, if you are watching through that and you want to see more about the live show that we do, it's facebook.com/biz legal lifecycle. And if you've got any questions, as I said earlier, please feel free to email me at lifecycle@jeremystretton.com, or send us a note through Facebook or YouTube. We post everything up online so that you can see that. You can even contact me on Twitter at Jeremy Stretton. So thank you very much. We'll be back on Monday with another edition of Fast Fix Monday, and I wish you the best with your business for the coming week. Thanks very much.